Mark, no!
I wake up in our bed, but he is not here. He has not been here for 3 months. The sheets smell like nothing now. I check my phone and there is still nothing from him. Not one message, not one call. Everyone says I should stop waiting. Everyone says I did this to myself. They say I deserve this empty house, this silence that hurts my ears, this life that feels like a punishment. I used to think I was a good person. Now I am not sure. My name is Sarah. I am 34 years old. I was married to Mark for 7 years. We had a house, 2 cars, and a dog named Buddy. Buddy is with Mark now. I did not even get to say goodbye to the dog. Mark took him the day he left. He took his clothes, his computer, his books. He left his wedding ring on the kitchen table. He left a note that had only 5 words. I know what you did. I did not understand at first. I thought maybe he found out about the credit card debt. Or maybe he knew I had been lying about liking his mother. But then I knew. Deep down I knew. He found out about Jake. Jake was from work. He made me feel seen. That is what I tell myself. That is what I told my sister when she found out and stopped talking to me. She said, "You threw everything away for attention." I told her she did not understand. But maybe she did. Maybe that is the truth I cannot face. Mark and I used to be happy. That is what I remember now, but back then I was not so sure. He would come home from work and kiss me on the forehead. He would ask about my day. I would say fine. He would say his day was busy. Then he would sit on the couch and watch sports while I made dinner. After dinner, he would wash the dishes. He always washed the dishes. That was his way of showing love, I think now. But back then I thought it meant he did not want to talk to me. He stopped asking me about my dreams. He stopped noticing when I got my hair cut. He stopped telling me I was beautiful. I would wear a new dress and he would say, "That looks nice." Just nice. Not stunning. Not gorgeous. Just nice. I wanted more. I deserved more, I thought. I started thinking he did not love me anymore. I started thinking maybe he never really loved me. I started thinking about all the things I gave up for him. I gave up my job in the city to move here for his job. I gave up my friends. I gave up going out on weekends because he liked to stay home. I gave up so much, and what did I get? A man who said my dress looked nice. Jake started at my office 6 months ago. He sat next to me. He noticed everything. He noticed when I wore a different color lipstick. He noticed when I was quiet. He would lean over and say, "You okay, Sarah?" No one had asked me that in a long time. Mark never asked me that. Mark assumed I was okay. Jake did not assume. He asked. It started with coffee, then lunch, then text messages after work. I told myself it was just friendship. I told myself Mark would not mind. But I knew. I knew when I started deleting the messages. I knew when I put my phone face down on the table. I knew when I laughed at Jake's jokes and felt my heart beat faster. The first time I kissed Jake, I told myself it was an accident. We were working late. Everyone else had gone home. He was showing me something on his computer and his hand touched mine. Then his lips were on mine. It felt like electricity. It felt like being alive again. It felt like I mattered. After that, we met in secret. Always in secret. Always in places where no one would see us. A park far from our neighborhood, a cafe across town, his apartment when his roommate was away. Each time I told myself it was the last time. Each time I told myself I would tell Mark and fix things. But I did not. I kept going back. I kept wanting that feeling of being important. Mark was working a lot. He had a big project. He would leave early and come home late. He was tired all the time. When he was home, he was quiet. I thought he was pulling away from me. I thought he was bored with me. I did not ask him what was wrong. I did not try to help. I just got angry. I got angry that he was not paying attention to me. I got angry that he did not see me. I started fights. I would ask him why he never looked at me anymore. He would say, "I am tired, Sarah." I would say, "You are always tired. You are tired of me." He would shake his head and go to bed. He never fought back. He never yelled. He just went quiet. That made me more angry. I wanted him to fight for me. I wanted him to show he cared. But he just went quiet. One night I came home late from being with Jake. Mark was sitting in the dark. I jumped when I saw him. He said, "Where were you?" I said, "Work." He looked at me for a long time. Then he said, "Okay." That was it. Just okay. He did not ask more. He did not check my story. He just went to bed. I thought he was stupid. I thought he did not care enough to even ask. Now I know he was collecting evidence. He was building his case. He was deciding. The last time I saw Mark before he left, we had a fight. It was a Sunday morning. He had made coffee. He handed me a cup. I looked at the cup and said, "You never make it the way I like it." He said, "I made it the same way I always do." I said, "Exactly. You never listen." He put his own cup down. He looked at me. Really looked at me. He said, "Sarah, what is happening to us?" I heard something in his voice. It was sad. It was broken. But I was too angry to care. I was too full of my own feelings. I said, "I will tell you what is happening. You stopped loving me. You stopped seeing me. You treat me like furniture, like I am just here to cook and clean and be quiet. I have needs, Mark. I am a person. I deserve to be loved. I deserve to feel wanted." He said, "I do love you." I laughed. I actually laughed. I said, "You have a funny way of showing it." Then I said it. The words that I cannot take back. The words that maybe he already knew, but I made them real. I said, "Maybe I found someone who does love me. Maybe I found someone who sees me." Did you ever think of that? His face changed. It was like I watched a wall come down behind his eyes. He went completely still. He said, "Who?" I did not answer. I just looked at him. I was daring him to get angry. I was daring him to fight. But he did not. He just nodded. He picked up his coffee cup. He walked outside to the backyard. He sat in a chair and looked at the trees for 2 hours. I watched him from the window. I wanted him to come back in and yell at me. I wanted him to ask me to stay. But he just sat there. That afternoon, he packed a bag. He said, "I am going to stay with my brother for a few days." I said, "Fine." I thought he was running away. I thought he was weak. I thought he was giving up on us. I did not know he was leaving forever. He came back 3 days later when I was at work. He took Buddy. He took his things. He left the ring. He left the note. He changed the locks. I came home to a house that was half empty. I called him. He did not answer. I texted him. He did not reply. I called his brother. His brother said, "Mark does not want to talk to you." I said, "You cannot do this. This is our house." His brother said, Actually, it is Mark's house. He bought it before you married. Talk to a lawyer. I did not talk to a lawyer. I talked to my sister. I told her everything. I told her about Mark ignoring me. I told her about Jake making me feel alive. I told her Mark left without giving me a chance to explain. I thought she would be on my side. She was always on my side before. But she said, "Sarah, you cheated on him. What did you expect?" I said, "I expected him to fight for me." She said, "He fought for 7 years. You just did not see it." I did not understand what she meant. I still do not fully understand, but I am starting to. The first week Mark was gone, I felt free. I called Jake. I told him Mark left. I thought we could be together now. I thought this was our chance. But Jake got quiet. He said, "Sarah, I did not sign up for this. I thought you were just having fun." I said, "I love you." He said, "You do not even know me." He stopped answering my messages after that. He moved to a different department at work. He would not look at me in the hallway. The man who saw me suddenly could not see me at all. That is when I started to panic. I lost Mark. Then I lost Jake. I was alone. I called Mark every day. I left messages. I said I was sorry. I said I made a mistake. I said I would do anything. I said I needed him. He never answered. After 2 weeks, he sent one text. It said, "Please stop calling. I will contact you through my lawyer." That was it. No emotion, no anger, just nothing. I went to his brother's house. I knocked on the door. Mark opened it. He looked at me like I was a stranger. I said, "Can we talk?" He said, "No." I said, "Please, just 5 minutes." He said, "Sarah, you told me you found someone else. You told me in our kitchen." You laughed at me. I cannot unhear that. I cannot unsee that. I am done. He closed the door. I stood on the porch and cried. His brother's wife looked through the window. She did not come out. No one came out. I started losing other things. My friend Lisa stopped inviting me to dinner. She said, "I love you, Sarah, but I cannot be in the middle of this." Mark was my friend too. I said, "You are choosing him?" She said, "I am choosing not to be part of this mess." Then she hung up. My mother called. She said she heard about the divorce. She said, "How could you do this? Mark was a good man." I said, "He ignored me." She said, "So you talk to him. You go to counseling. You do not sleep with another man." I said, "You do not understand." She said, "No, Sarah, you do not understand." At work, people stopped talking to me. They would look away when I walked by. I heard whispers. I heard the word cheater. I heard someone say, "She got what she deserved." I wanted to scream that there were 2 sides, but when I tried to tell my side, it sounded weak. It sounded like excuses. It sounded like I was blaming Mark for my own choices. I stopped sleeping. I would lie in our bed and stare at the ceiling. I would see Mark's face. I would see the way he looked at me when I told him about Jake. That look. It was not angry. It was empty, like I had reached inside him and removed something important. I did that. I removed his trust. I removed his love. I removed him. I started drinking. I would drink wine and send him long emails. I would tell him about my day. I would tell him I missed him. I would tell him about the dog. I would ask if I could see Buddy. He never answered. The emails would bounce back. He blocked me. He blocked my number. He blocked me on everything. It was like I never existed to him. That is the worst part. The vanishing. He did not just leave. He erased me. He took our life and continued it without me. I heard from a friend that he moved to a new apartment. I drove by it. I saw Buddy in the window. I saw Mark come out with a woman. She was not special. She was just normal. They were laughing. He was laughing. He looked happy. He looked free. I got out of my car. I walked up to them. Mark saw me. His face changed. The happiness went away. The woman looked at me, then at Mark. He said to her, "Go inside. I will handle this." She went inside. She did not ask who I was. She just did what he said. That is how much he trusts her. That is how much she respects him. I said, "Mark, please. I need to talk." He said, "We have nothing to talk about." I said, "I am sorry. I was wrong. I was selfish. I was stupid." He listened. He did not move. He just listened. Then he said, "I believe you are sorry, but sorry does not change what you did. Sorry does not make me forget. I cannot be with someone who could do that. I cannot trust you. I will never trust you again. That is the truth." I said, "What about the dog?" He said, "Buddy is fine." I said, "Can I see him?" He said, "No." I said, "He is my dog too." Mark said, "You gave up the right to say that when you gave up on us. Goodbye, Sarah." He went inside. He did not look back. The door closed. I stood on the sidewalk and felt like I was disappearing, like I was becoming a ghost. That night I went to a bar. I drank too much. I told a stranger my story. I said, "My husband left me because I cheated, but he was ignoring me. He was distant. He pushed me away." The stranger, a woman older than me, looked at me and said, "So you cheated because you were sad? That is a choice, honey, a bad one." I said, "You do not know him." She said, "I do not need to. I know you. You are still blaming him." She was right. Even now I was still blaming him. I was still saying he was distant instead of I betrayed him. I was still saying he ignored me instead of I broke us. I was still making myself the victim. I went home and looked in the mirror. I did not recognize the woman looking back. She had dark circles under her eyes. Her hair was messy. Her face was thin. She looked crazy. She looked like a woman who had lost everything. She looked like a woman who deserved to lose everything. The divorce papers came. Mark was giving me a small settlement. He was being fair. Too fair. He was not fighting. He was not angry. He was just done. The papers said we would split the savings. He would keep the house. I would get some money. He would keep the dog. I would get nothing of his heart. Nothing of his trust. Nothing of our life. I signed them. I did not fight. What was the point? My lawyer said I could get more. He said I could fight for the house. I said no. I said I just wanted it to be over. But the truth is, I wanted Mark to see me fighting. I wanted him to see me suffer. I wanted him to feel bad for me. But he did not. He just signed his part and sent them back. No note, no message, just his signature on the line. My sister called after I signed. She said, "Are you okay?" I said, "No." She said, "Do you understand why this happened?" I said, "I cheated." She said, "No. Do you understand why you cheated?" I said, "Because I was unhappy." She said, "Why were you unhappy?" I said, "Because Mark did not love me enough." She was quiet for a long time. Then she said, "Sarah, you are still not getting it. You were unhappy because you stopped seeing the love that was there. You stopped seeing Mark. You only saw yourself." She hung up. I sat on the floor and cried. I cried for the first time since he left. Really cried. Not angry crying. Not, why me, crying. Just crying because I had lost something beautiful, and I had no one to blame but myself. I started going to therapy. The therapist asked me why I cheated. I gave her the same story. Mark was distant. Mark was cold. Mark ignored me. She listened. She said, "And you felt lonely?" I said yes. She said, "So you made a choice to fill that loneliness with another person instead of talking."
To your husband?
I said, "I tried to talk to him." She said, "Did you? Or did you just accuse him?" I thought about it. I had accused him. I had told him he did not love me. I had told him he ignored me. I had never said, "I am lonely. I need you. I miss us." I had only blamed. The therapist said, "You wanted him to read your mind. You wanted him to fix your feelings without you having to be vulnerable. And when he did not, you punished him by cheating. That is not love, Sarah. That is control." She was right. I wanted control. I wanted to control how he made me feel. I wanted to control the story. I wanted to be the victim and the hero. But I was neither. I was the villain. I tried to apologize to Mark one more time. I sent a letter, a real letter, in the mail. I wrote 3 pages. I said I was wrong. I said I was selfish. I said I broke us. I said I understood if he never wanted to see me again, but I needed him to know I was sorry. I mailed it. I waited. 2 weeks later, I got a letter back. It was 1 page. It said, "Sarah, I appreciate the apology. I hope you find peace, but I have moved on. I am happy now. Please do not contact me again. Mark." That was it. He was happy. Without me. He had moved on. He had rebuilt his life. He had his dog. He had his new woman. He had his peace. And I had nothing. My friends all took his side. They did not say it, but I could see it. They would post pictures with him on social media. They would tag him in things. They would not tag me. They stopped inviting me to parties. They stopped calling. When I ran into them at the store, they would be polite but quick. "Good to see you, Sarah. Take care." That was it. I was toxic. I was the cheater. I was the one who ruined everything. I lost my job. Not because of the cheating, but because I could not focus. I would stare at my computer and think about Mark's face. I would think about the way he looked at me that last day. I would think about the emptiness in his eyes. My boss said, "Sarah, you are not yourself. Maybe take some time." I took time. I never went back. I ran out of money. I had to move out of the apartment I rented after Mark left. I moved in with my mother. She let me, but she did not make it easy. She would say things like, "Mark always helped with the dishes. Mark always called me on Sundays." She was not trying to hurt me. She was just saying the truth. and the truth hurt. I see Mark sometimes. Not really see him, but I see his life. I see pictures online. He looks good. He looks relaxed. He looks like the man I married, but better. Like he grew into himself. Like he is finally free. And I think, I did that. I set him free. But I also destroyed myself. The new woman, her name is Emily. She is normal. She is not prettier than me. She is not smarter. She is just kind. I can see it in the pictures. She looks at Mark like he is the world, and he looks at her like she is safe. I was never safe. I was a storm. I was a test. I was a problem. He finally solved by leaving. I still dream about him. I dream that he comes back. He knocks on the door and says, "Sarah, I forgive you. Let's try again." In the dream, I cry and say yes. I say I will be better. I say I will be different. But then I wake up and I am alone. And I know that dream will never come true, because Mark is not coming back. He is not angry. He is not sad. He is just done. And that is worse than any yelling. That is worse than any fight. That is the true end. My sister asked me the other day if I would cheat again. I said no. She said, "Why not?" I said, "Because I lost everything." She said, "That is not a good reason. That is just fear of consequences. The real reason is because you understand now that you were wrong. Not because you got caught. Not because he left. But because you hurt someone who loved you. You broke trust. You broke a person." I am starting to understand. I am starting to see that my complaint was never about Mark. It was about me. I was empty inside, and I wanted him to fill me up. But that is not his job. That was never his job. He was my husband, not my savior. He was a good man doing his best, and I was a woman who could not see it, who chose to see what was missing instead of what was there, who chose to chase a feeling instead of building a life, who chose to destroy instead of repair. I still have moments where I think, but he ignored me. Those moments are getting fewer. Now I think, I never told him what I needed. I only told him what he was doing wrong. I think, I expected him to read my mind, and when he did not, I punished him. I think, I was entitled. I thought love meant constant attention. I thought marriage meant he had to make me happy. But that is not love. That is control. That is need. That is sickness. The truth is, I did not cheat because Mark was distant. I cheated because I was weak. I cheated because I wanted to feel powerful. I cheated because I wanted to prove I was still desirable. I cheated because I was selfish. And I told myself it was his fault. I told myself he drove me to it. But no one drives you to betrayal. You choose it. You walk into it. You open the door and you walk through. Now I am alone. I have a small job in a store. I rent a small room. I have no dog. I have no husband. I have no friends who call. I have a mother who tolerates me. I have a sister who loves me enough to tell me the truth. I have therapy once a week where I cry and say, I broke my own life. The therapist says, yes, but you are learning. That is something. Mark is getting married. I heard from someone who heard from someone. Emily is pregnant. They are happy. They are building a life I could have had, a life I threw away. I think about writing him one more letter, but I do not, because he asked me not to, because he deserves peace, because the greatest gift I can give him now is the same gift he gave me. Nothing. Just silence. Just space. Just the end. Sometimes I stand in front of the mirror and I say to the woman looking back, you did this. She cries. She says, I know. She says, I am sorry. But sorry is just a word. It does not change the past. It does not bring back the man who sat on the couch and watched sports while I made dinner. It does not bring back the man who washed the dishes every night. It does not bring back the man who looked at me with love until I taught him to look at me with nothing. I am losing my mind, but not because he vanished. I am losing my mind because I finally see myself. I finally see what I did. I finally see that I was the villain in my own story. And it is too late to change the ending. Everyone thinks I deserve this. They are right. I deserve this empty room. I deserve this silence. I deserve this life I built with my own hands, one bad choice at a time. I deserve to wake up alone. I deserve to be forgotten. I deserve to be the woman who had everything and threw it away because she wanted more attention. The saddest part is, I still want to blame him a little. I still want to say, if only he had seen me. But I am learning. I am learning that being seen starts with seeing. I am learning that love is not a feeling you chase. It is a choice you make every day, even when you are bored, even when you are sad, even when you think you deserve more. I did not deserve more. I deserved exactly what I had. A good man, a quiet love, a steady life. But I was too stupid to see it, too selfish to appreciate it, too entitled to protect it. So now I live in this small room. I work in this small job. I think small thoughts. I try to be a small person. Because I was too big before. Too big with my needs. Too big with my complaints. Too big with my ego. Mark is happy. That is what matters. That is what I tell myself. That is the only thing that lets me sleep at night sometimes. That he got away from me. That he found peace. That he is building something good with someone who knows how to love. Someone who is not me. I am learning to be someone else. Someone who does not need to be the center of everything. Someone who can sit alone and be okay. Someone who can see what she has instead of what she thinks she is missing. It is hard. It is the hardest thing I have ever done. Harder than being married. Harder than being alone. Harder than losing him. because I have to look at myself and say, you were wrong, you were cruel, you were selfish, and you have to live with that. I will live with it. I will wake up every day in this small room. I will go to my small job. I will talk to my small number of people who still speak to me. I will remember the man who washed dishes. I will remember the dog. I will remember the life I had. And I will remember that I killed it. Not with a big fight, not with one big mistake, but with 1,000 small ones. With a choice to see what was missing instead of what was there. With a choice to blame instead of build. With a choice to be the victim when I was actually the villain. Everyone thinks I deserve this. They are right. I deserve every empty moment. I deserve every silent night. I deserve to be the woman who lost her mind because she finally saw herself. And I deserve to be alone. Because being alone is the only way I can stop hurting people. It is the only way I can learn to be quiet. It is the only way I can become someone who might, one day, deserve to be loved again. Not by Mark. That ship has sailed. That ship sank. That ship is at the bottom of the ocean I filled with my own tears. But maybe, someday, by someone else. Or maybe, just by myself. I am learning to sit with myself. It is not easy. I am not good company. I am full of regret and rationalization and still, a little bit of blame. But I am trying. I am trying to kill the part of me that thinks she deserves more than she gives. I am trying to kill the part of me that needs attention more than she needs to give love. I am trying to become small enough to fit into a quiet life. A life where I can wash dishes and mean it. A life where I can say, "Nice dress," and mean it. A life where I can love someone and not need them to fill every empty space inside me. Mark vanished. That is what I tell people. But the truth is, I vanished first. I vanished from our marriage the moment I started needing more than what we had. The moment I started seeing Jake instead of Mark. The moment I decided my feelings were more important than my vows. He just made my vanishing official. He just cleaned up the mess I made. He just did what I was too weak to do, end something that was already broken. Broken by me. So here I am, in this room, in this life, in this silence. And I am losing my mind, yes. But maybe that is what I need. To lose the mind that thought cheating was okay. To lose the mind that blamed him for my choices. To lose the mind that thought love was a feeling you chase instead of a promise you keep. Maybe when I lose that mind completely, I can build a new one, a quieter one, a better one. But for now, I sit here. I stare at the wall. I think about a man and a dog and a life that was good enough. I think about how I threw it away. I think about how everyone was right. I deserved this. I deserve this. I will always deserve this. And that is the only truth that matters now. The truth that keeps me small. The truth that keeps me quiet. The truth that keeps me from ever making the same mistake again. Because some mistakes you cannot fix. Some mistakes you can only live with. And this is mine. This is my life now. This is my story. And it ends with me, alone, finally understanding that I was never the hero. I was always the problem. And that is a hard thing to know. But it is the only thing that might save me. From myself, from my needs, from my own destructive heart. I am Sarah. I am 34. I am alone, and I deserve to be. That is the whole story. That is the truth. That is what I live with every single day. And maybe, just maybe,